Welcome back, another day. Dad Bod's Hot Rods Garage. We're back out here on the Chevelle. Today, I'm gonna be pulling off the Krager SS's. I'm gonna finish putting the brakes on this side, take the Krager off of this side. I've got torque thrust 2s coming. I'm gonna try to get to the steering components. So I got the rod that goes from the steering box up to the column that'll come out of there. And I got a column, a tilt column I'm gonna be putting in. So I'm gonna mock all that stuff, put it in. It's probably gonna have to come back out again because I gotta redo the wiring under the dash. But I'm gonna get that column in, get it mocked up so I can get the steering shaft cut. This column is a tilt column, GM Saginaw, and it came out of a Jeep Cherokee. And the only difference between this and the Chevelle is this one had a plate here where it bolts to the floor. If you grind that off, the Chevelle plate bolts right around this, and then it bolts to these mounting brackets here. Everything else is the same. I put a new switch in it. One thing about these Jeep columns is they have a safety latch here. So apparently you have to depress the brake or something in order for this to operate. But so what I did is I just pulled it up into the unlock position, drilled the hole, zip tied it, and it works just fine. The only other thing is the horn button is kind of different from my steering column, and if I have to change that, I can do it in the car once it's already in. But for $45 at the junkyard, it's way better than $200 or $300 for an actual tilt column for the car. And I don't know if I haven't done any videos yet of my Bel Air, but I've got the same column in my 53 Bel Air, and I utilize some of these switches that don't work in the Bel Air, but I use these for, like, this is my line lock in the Bel Air, and this with a cruise control button, that is my launch control. So when I'm building boost, so at the line I'm holding my line lock, my launch control, and then take off. It also, I do utilize the headlight dimmer switch on my Bel Air, but I'm not going to utilize it on this one. So anyways, that's pretty much it. I'll start putting her in. All right, so first step is to get you guys set up. Get the column into here, and then get the bracketry bolted around it. Those are held in with these screws. Okay. One or two of these in here to hold her up into place from maneuvering on the bottom. There we go. Yeah. Now, outside of some wiring, I consider that success. Something like that. Total tilt column. All right, moving out here under the hood, that's the bottom of the steering shaft. And that's what that upper coupler is going to bolt to. And the lower one's going to bolt here. Okay, so I got the upper shaft mounted to the column where it comes through. Those oval shaft connected to the coupler at the steering shaft, or the steering box, sorry. And now I got to measure and cut. Okay, in order to get these two to go right, I got to cut it right at that mark. Okay. So I got the bottom side in and done, bolted down. Got it cut, fits in right. And I'm about to tighten up that top nut, and that'll finish this thing off. it is in there. All coupled up. Still a collapsible column. All right. Perfect. I like it. It's very good. Let's see how it feels sitting inside with some tilt action. Okay, so that's pretty good. Tilt it down. Yeah, that's nice. That's the way it's supposed to be. A lot of room. I think she's pretty good, guys. Pretty good. Now let's move on to putting these wheels on. I'm going to attempt to put the brake kit back together. Big rotors, spare brakes. I got to put the bracketry on. I've already got my shims and everything sorted out. Everything is as it should be. Except for I'm missing the keeper for that. I'm going to have to find that somewhere. All right, so that's on there, all tightened down. It kind of snaps in, so this end goes in first, and then it just kind of sort of pops in like that. And this pin goes into here, but it comes in from the back side. And like I said, I'm missing that keeper that goes there. I'm missing that keeper, but I can order one, no big deal. But so that's pretty much the big brake kit. Let me get the brake line put on. I'll put the wheel on. So your brake line has 2 crush washers because it's a banjo fitting. One goes on the front, one goes on the back, like so. On the back side, one on the front side. American Racing Torque Thrust 2s. They're 17 by 8 with a 0 offset. And that's the only wheels that I found that would fit around those big brakes. And they look pretty damn good. Now see, these spacers I put on here were to push Cragar SS's out so they wouldn't hit the brakes. But I don't need them because the torque thrust fit just fine. So I'm gonna pull these things off too. So these are my torque thrust 2s. They're 17 by 9.5 wide. Yeah, 17 by 9.5. 5 on 3 1/4 pattern that fits the Chevelle. The tires are 275 5017 Nitto 555 G2s for the rear, and the fitment is about spot on perfect. Brand new out of the box. These center caps, they're held on with these screws. They're a bevel-headed screw. Go on, focus. It's a bevel-headed screw, but the problem I was having was they would go in, but when the screw got tight, the cap was still loose. So what I learned was these are drilled and threaded, and then the wheel is chrome dipped, so the chrome is in the threads. So what I'm having to do is chase with a tap, just chase the threads. which is pretty simple. You can hear that. You can go down as far as you need to go, but I think that's gonna ensure that the cap goes on and stays tight. I noticed that my other wheels, I'm gonna have to do this on all four of them. It's only time. That's all it is, just time. But at the end of the day, when you take your time, instead of forcing these bolts in to those threads, which could have chewed up the thread on the bolt and you never would have gotten them out, which means you never would have been able to get your wheels balanced or mounted and dismounted because they had to take the center cap out to do so. But doing this keeps you from stripping out the bolt, and you can remove them when you need to. It only takes a few more minutes, and obviously a tap and die set. But look at that, nice and tight now, perfect. So I'm gonna set up and do this other one. Take it off the car, but do this other one as well. I'll be back. All right, so I got this side done. Did the same thing, tapped them out, put the bolts back in. Okay, got them mounted on. I'm gonna lift up my quick jacks, release it, set it on the ground. Let's see what it looks like then. You have to come up first. You gotta plug it in first. Now it might work. So you bring it all the way up and you lift it up so that tab goes over, so it'll allow the lock to slide. Bring her down, nice and slow. So yeah, it takes it a little bit to come all the way down. Okay, now they're both down. Now let's take a look. So the fronts are 235/50s and the rears are the 275/50s. And I think that's a way better look. I mean, it's a lot of meaty tire. The car has a good stance to it, good rake. I really like that look a lot. That looks really, really good to me. So finally got the correct serpentine belts. I'm gonna tighten that one up still, but I gotta get the high pressure hose, and then tighten that down. Actually, I gotta pull this back off because I gotta put a gasket between here. Next on the list is all the wiring I've got to get done throughout the entire car. That's gonna be the big one. I got a lot of it still hanging around down there. Hasn't changed. That'll do it for today, guys. Take care. All right, once again, thank you everyone for watching Dad Bods and Hot Rods Garage. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, hit the notification button, and we'll see you on the next one.